Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Greater Good podcast that's sponsored by the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation. Glad everyone's here listening. And with me today, I've got kind of a legend here in San Diego, certainly the state and the nation and the world. I've got retired General Anthony Jackson with me. Tony, good to see you. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, Jeff, it's good to see you. Good to be here.
It is. It's good to be alive. I think the
Yeah,
last time I saw you, you were jogging in the opposite direction I was with my dog up in Santa Margarita River
yeah,
Preserve. Love that area. I mean,
yeah.
that's.
I did my morning jog on that trail this today,
Did you? It's a little bit warm. Hopefully, you got out early.
just in the nick of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's one of the. I even hate to say this because we've got like 50,000 listeners here, but uh, I, I love to talk about that place because it's probably one of the best hiking gems in the county. With the river and the canopied trails, and it's got a little elevation to it. You
yeah.
can get yourself, and you like that 500-foot trail. I know
Well,
that.
I live uh, it, on an old trailhead just above the river. I'm a half a mile from the river,
Oh my.
and so I keep a little trail from my backyard, and I'm on the trail in less than 200 yards.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah.
we used to keep our horses adjacent to the trail for years.
Hmm.
Then we got our own place, but yeah, what a gem!
Yeah.
And it's greatly improved since the conservancy took over
It,
that
it,
property.
exactly. Exactly. They're doing a great job. They've made it safer, and yeah, you hate to over advertise it, but it's okay because
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I love the great outdoors, and I think that other people should too.
Well, without giving away any secrets here about parks and things like that, we can talk about all that later because you know a lot about the great outdoors for a number of reasons. But yeah, when what I was out there the other day, and the parking lot um, was like 100% full. I'd never seen it like that. They had cars waiting up and down the road just to get on the property. So
Yeah,
that says a lot.
come in from the other end sometime at Stagecoach Lane and Willow Creek. Yeah.
That's where I
Uh,
normally come in.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I come in there with either my horse or my dog or both. And we
All right.
we we like to go play in the river, especially my Labrador.
I bet.
Yeah. Well, Tony, it's really great to see you, and thanks for making time here today. We had a little technical difficulty getting on, some on our end, some on whatever the Ethernet, the cloud, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it.
Yeah.
But so you are a retired two-star general from the United States Marine Corps, which makes you, when you retired, like in the one, two, three highest ranking officer in the Marine Corps. Is that not right?
Yeah. There's the 3 and 4 stars above me, but I had, yeah, it was really, it's phenomenal. I believe every time I look back at my career that I kind of achieved that rank, but it was an honor to do so, and an honor to serve at that rank. A lot of responsibility,
Yeah.
and the Marine Corps and the government had enough faith in me to let me have that responsibility for a few years. Yeah.
Well, when you say that, I've had the privilege of knowing a lot of, I don't know whether they believe they're important or not, but in my estimation, some of the most influential people in the world. And what I find often is the case, and I'm not talking about just people that have accomplished great things in business or in the military. I'm talking about some of the richest people in the world, and those individuals, by and large, are very humble. Like yourself. You say you were fortunate that the government allowed you to do that. Well, pardon me, sir, but that's a little bit of bunk. You earned that position because of the job you were doing, and people recognized it. So, I appreciate your humility, and it's a great trait. And obviously it's done well for you.
Yeah. Well, when I first entered, I thought my dad was a World War II Korean vet in the Army, and my oldest brother had served during the Vietnam War as a draftee, but he served his few years and got some horrible disease when he was stationed in Vietnam, and they had to
Mhm.
medevac him out of there. But he
Yeah.
came out and went to college, had a great life, great career, still does.
Yeah.
And then my older brother, Don, he spent a couple of years in the Air Force.
Mm.
So I had finished my graduate degree, my master's degree at San Jose State, and I was in the insurance business, making a lot of money, and bought a house as a young 22, 23-year old in
Right.
San Jose. And and the Vietnam War was winding down, but Marines and soldiers and sailors were still doing heroic things. And I thought, well, I'm just sitting on my butt making money in San Jose, and
Hmm.
life was too comfortable. So one day, instead of going to work, I just slipped over to the officer recruiting office in Alameda and joined the Marine Corps to go to OCS.
Oh my gosh.
and that
And
night,
here we are.
because I thought I should serve at least 3 years, you know,
Uh-huh.
and then I
Huh.
had to go home and convince my wife I had done the right thing. I don't know if I ever did convince her of
I,
that.
I've met your wife, and I think that one was probably a hard sell.
It was to the very last day when I
Yeah.
retired.
Yeah. A few years ago, you were still living that,
Yeah,
regretting
yeah,
that moment. Well, I'm sure life is always a challenge, no matter
yeah.
what it is that you do. Uh,
Right. You're
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
the country and the world is a better place because of your service.
Well, thank you for that.
No question about it. And certainly the
Yeah,
state of California. I mean,
yeah.
when you retired from the Marine Corps, you made another, I don't know, wrong, right decision, and you took on the state of California, all of their parks
Right.
and recreation areas. And as I recall, what year was that you took on that job? Was it like
Late
90,
2012. Yeah.
2012? Okay,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that department was a wreck, as I recall.
yes. Yeah. Well, and when I retired, I bought this 25-foot RV and said, "Honey, we're going to go out. And we're going to see the Sierras, and we're going to go to the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
and that will be our gift in retirement. And I won't go to work. It looks like we're financially set. And I won't work." And I did have a few offers, and I was able to turn those down.
Hmm.
But I was doing some work, just very small, and I was in Washington D.C. And I got this call from the Secretary of Natural Resources of the state of California,
Hmm.
and it was like, "Hey, Tony, you've been reading about parks?" I said, "Yeah, what a mess. They money was missing and millions of dollars, and they're talking about closing our wonderful 280 state parks." And he said, "Well, we'd like you to come. The governor would like you to come and be the director. Will you meet with Governor Brown and talk about that?" I said, I'm not committing to anything until I talk to my wife."
Exactly. You learned your lesson.
Yeah. So I came home, and she's a native Californian, growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and her family was big into the outdoors, and I'm big into the outdoors. And
Right.
I said, well, I served the nation for 36 plus years. I should maybe directly serve the state because we love what we're
Hmm.
trying to protect. And so I called the secretary back and said yes, and he said, okay, the governor would like to talk to you about it. And so I met with the governor, and I guess we hit it off enough. And the next thing I know, I was the director of California State Park System for the next couple of years. I
Yeah.
told him I would only be there for a couple of years. I wanted to straighten it out, get the money right, talk to the legislature, and get them to freeze up some of the money. The incredible thing was none of the money was, and it totaled pretty close to $50 million.
Hmm.
None of the money that was hitting the headlines was spent money. Otherwise, it wasn't. It was
Hmm.
this money sitting there that they had made such poor accounting errors
Yeah.
for just about 20 years worth of poor accounting errors, and
Yeah.
they were it, So we got that straightened out anyway, and got the money back in the parks, and what a great bunch of people to work with. They kind of remind me of service people, you know.
Yeah,
They,
very
yeah,
passionate.
yeah, very passionate, very committed to what they do and the parks that they protect and manage. Just a real super. If the California taxpayer realized how much these people give for what little they actually receive in
Mm,
return, they would be pretty amazed.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It
and
was
that,
really.
yeah,
Go ahead. That was really an unfortunate thing because the way the media portrayed that, it was almost like people in the Parks Department were embezzling millions and millions of dollars, and living the life of luxury when in fact, like you said, it was really just an accounting issue or,
right,
inappropriate accounting. Yeah. Yeah.
right. That's what it was. And when we discovered all of these things, it was just a matter. Okay, where's this going? And I said, well, one of the main things we're going to do is we're going to have the best restrooms in the whole nation. I said that will keep people coming.
Yeah.
That'll get the mom will
Yeah.
say, yeah, we'll go to the parks because they're clean, they're squared away,
Yeah.
and little things like that. And then
Safety. Right.
and then some bringing back awards programs for the employees that had been trashed years ago. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of little things from a leadership standpoint that I learned in the Marine Corps that could be applied to parks and get morale up and get the situation straightened out.
Yeah, well, you did a great job and a great
Mhm.
service to our state. But let's go back to the Marine Corps. What I
Huh?
love the Marines. I'm an Army guy myself.
Mhm.
Served in the mid to late '60s, and like your brother, had some pretty horrific experiences. Uh, but I'm okay other than this twitch. But
We all have that.
we all have that. But there are a couple of things about the Marine Corps that just stand out above all the other services, and no disrespect to any of them. But first of all, you have the best goddamn uniforms. Bar none. They are just,
Yeah.
the best, absolute best. The second thing is you put on the best birthday party of all the
Yeah,
services.
there you go.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I mean, the Marine Corps ball. I mean, if you have not, I don't know who's listening, but if you have not had a chance to go to a Marine Corps ball, you're missing out on great fun, great patriotism, great, congratulations to the fine work that the Marines do.
Yeah.
But
On that account, I went to the Army War College
uh-huh.
as kind of my graduate school as a lieutenant colonel. And the biggest social event at the Army War College is the Marine Corps Ball. And there's only 10 officers, 10 Marine officers that are selected to go there, and there's 300 students,
Oh
and
my God.
most of them Army, but
Yeah.
also international and a few other services and civilians thrown in. And so what's absolutely amazing is the biggest social event at the Army War College is in fact the Marine Corps Ball.
I'm not a bit surprised. Yeah. I have
Yeah,
a lot of good friends that are either in service, Marine Corps, or retired, and you know, once a Marine, always a Marine. And that's true.
yes,
And I think it's true from the day they get in and they get out of boot camp for pretty much the rest of their lives. Versus, say, now I'm an Army guy, and so after I got out of the Army, I couldn't wait to get away. But then as I got older, I started reminiscing about, the things I'd learned and lessons of life and, all of that and the relationships and friends and all of that. But it wasn't until later in life. And I think that's common. And I see that down at the Midway, the USS Midway, where, you've got all those docents on board and, super majority of them are retired Navy or Marine Corps guys. And, it's the same there, up until they started docenting down at that museum, they kind of forgot about their military background. So, but the Marines, I don't know, it must be something that they inject in you or in the food, or you guys are passionate about your Marine Corps emblem and everything about your service. It's
yeah.
great to see.
I think the Marine Corps does a real uh, good job of making sure that no matter what your occupational specialty is,
Mhm.
We all wear the same uniform. We
Yeah.
don't have different caps and stuff that we wear. We're all Marines, and we all adopt the traditions and the history of the Marine Corps, regardless of what you do.
Right.
And I think that, along with, along not just the history, but it's sort of the ideal presentation of the Marine Corps that we have
Hmm.
in this
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
That goes a long ways, and it's whether you go to OCS or whether you go to boot camp here in San Diego or to
Hmm.
Paris Island, you
Yeah.
get that same sense of this is the Marine Corps' history,
Right.
and you are becoming a part of it, and you owe it something.
Right.
You have to live up to that.
Hmm.
And one of our commandants, General Charles Krulak, when he was the commandant back in mid 90s, late 90s, he said, we do three things in the Marine Corps. We make Marines, we win
Hmm.
battles, and he was clear on we win battles, not that we win wars.
Right.
And we go back to our communities as better citizens. And those are the three things that uh, we do in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of hit the nail on the head.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's very telling. I've been to a number of Marine Corps balls, and I've never been to an Army ball because I don't know if they have one, but
They do.
I'm sure they do.
They
Yeah,
do.
I'm sorry, fellow Army guys, but
I,
when you go to the Marine Corps ball or you're on base or you see a fellow Marine, it's not, hey, General or hey, Sergeant or Gunnery or hey, Gunny. It's hey, Marine. So it's
right.
it's it's like, we're all the same here.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
certainly, they're going to respect your rank if they know what's good for them. But
That too.
that too, yeah. You got to have command respect and earn it first, but nonetheless.
Mhm.
So you were a Marine for 36 plus years. You served the state of California. I know you've done work for UC San Marcos or Cal State San Marcos through their foundation there. And but what's been the most rewarding part of your life?
Hmm. Boy, that's a big one. I think, I really believe in the word gratitude. Um,
Mhm.
and I believe that I've been graced with a lot. And sometimes I wonder. But, you know, besides my parents and my family, okay, because I had great parenting.
Mhm.
Uh, but I think uh, my wife, Sue, has
Mhm.
been. I mean, she's stuck with me through thick and thin. We're a interracial marriage from 1971 when
Mhm.
people kind of, my dad's a Texan and he really feared, he feared in that marriage. And we kind of had to fight a couple of battles,
Right.
uh, I mean, mental battles. But through all of this in my Marine Corps career, whether at peace or in war, she was always there, and she raised. I have two sons in their mid 30s now, and they're
Mhm.
just great. And I look at all the times I wasn't there,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and what she. So my real blessing, I think, has just been somehow I found the precise woman that in good times, bad times, whatever, that she was
Mhm.
always there, and she's very strong, very you know, she would always say, "I don't care what rank you're. I got promoted one higher day before yesterday."
Still true today, I'm
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Would she
We
tell
we
me the day
we
I
know.
retired? I don't care what you do. Just get the garbage out on Tuesday.
Well, you talk about an interracial relationship.
Yeah.
One of the benefits of having been in the military is that you get somewhat insulated because the military is
Yes.
pretty
Yes.
pretty progressive.
Yeah.
It always has
And
been with respect to. I mean, especially if you look at. I mean, when I was in the Army, the gift they gave me after, I went to war was they sent me to Germany for a year, which was
Ah,
great. And there were so many soldiers and Marines and sailors in Europe during those years that were marrying Germans or Europeans, and
okay.
there it was completely acceptable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was probably a benefit to you guys not having to undergo a lot of pressure from social uh,
Yeah.
folks.
And what you say about the militaries is very true. I grew up with a dad who was a career enlisted. He was the highest rank he was a master sergeant, as he
Mhm.
drug around 7 children.
Oh my. Ooh,
But we lived in Germany when I guess I started school in kindergarten, first grade, that kind of thing in Germany.
right,
And so my whole life I lived on and off military bases. And so I always saw that. I always saw that race wasn't a barrier to marriage. I mean, as a
right,
child, it was just normal.
right.
And so when we decided as collegians that we were going to be a couple, it was that part was normal to me, even though it may not be normal to the whole world,
Right, right.
and so, and then you're right that and I have to keep that in mind as I form opinions and make judgments. Is that I lived in an I kind of more ideal world as far as interracial relationships and
Right.
other social relationships.
Mhm.
When I grew up as a military brat, and then I spend most of just about all of my adulthood in a military environment.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I have been in some ways sheltered from some things, although I've lived in the hard rocks of Houston, Texas, and I've lived in Oakland, California, and other places.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I also have to understand and that your rank and your uniform is also a shield, and you
Mhm.
get
Yeah.
into places that you may not have gotten into otherwise
Yeah.
because
Right.
of that. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
I have to be mindful of that at all times. Is
Well,
it?
that says
Yes.
a lot. Says a lot about who you are as a person.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, certainly those stars on your shoulder or your lapel have a lot of sway in most
Yeah.
places, but you weren't always a general.
No.
You started out as a shaved tail lieutenant.
Yeah.
Straight out of OCS,
Yeah.
full of vinegar and that other liquid.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
this is
yeah.
a child friendly show, so
Yeah.
we, as opposed to a lot of other things. Well, one of the things that we do with the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation, is I know you've been a great advocate of children and education your whole life. And I know Sue as well. And she and I, we've had a couple of conversations over the years about that. Is that, we've adopted a K-8 school here in the Barrio Logan
Mhm.
where the homelessness ratio is right around 40%. Reading comprehension rates in the second, third, and fourth grade are in the low 40 percentiles.
Mhm.
Prior to the pandemic, they were up around 85, 86%. So, they're food insecure. They've got criminality and a lot of the homes, got a lot of single moms, mostly moms,
Mhm.
a lot of people in jail. And yet, when I go onto that campus, Tony, it's probably one of the more rewarding things that I get to gift myself with when I see the love and the compassion of the teachers and the staff that they give to these kids. And I know that Sarah Morga, the executive producer here at IQ Podcast, and her husband, they've been out to Perkins with me on some of our events. And these kids, in spite of all of their difficulties, they will come. They are the most polite, the most respectful young kids. These, little kids run up and they hug you, and they shake your hand. They say, "Yes, sir. Thank you very much." And I'm just amazed at the resilience that these young people have when they're on a pathway to failure. There's you can't if you can't read, you can't run, you can't learn,
Right. Right.
without those foundations. So we're working really, really hard to get their reading comprehension rates up. We've got 53 volunteer tutors that go on and work with the young kids, getting their reading up, and we feed them. We get, try and cover all the bases. But I know what you've done at Cal State San Marcos is very similar to that, but on a bigger scale.
Well, I mean, if you touch one kid, that's huge. I mean, if you lift one up out of their circumstance into
Yep.
opportunity and they
Yep.
take it. Yeah, when one of the things I did do very quickly and I joined Big Brothers and Big Sisters board of directors in San Diego. I'm
Yeah.
not there now, but it's one of my big. I wouldn't say I'm a huge philanthropist. I'm a retired government worker, but
Right. Yeah.
but I try to make sure that
Yeah.
they're right next to Cal State San Marcos in terms of my um, giving for the
Hmm.
very reasons that you mentioned in the programs that Big Brothers and Big Sisters of San Diego runs down here.
Yeah.
And you're right, education is the key, and I think that's one of the things that my parents gave to all seven of their children.
Hmm.
And if I look at, we were first generation to go to college,
Hmm.
and it, it- and and I think the reward for that is tremendous. But by emphasizing, and it really starts, you got to get them young because by the ninth grade, you're building that record. You're only 14
Hmm.
years old. You don't realize how serious the
Yeah.
next 4 years of your life are going to be,
Yep.
and what doors they either open for you or close.
Hmm.
And so what the work you're dealing with these kids, if it, just sounds terrific. And it's I visited a Boys and Girls Club in San Marcos, and I was just
Hmm.
stunned at the tremendous work the volunteers were doing there too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who care, and I just hate it when I see kids just fall through the cracks, and
Hmm. Hmm.
because if you can get one person now to break through, then the next generations coming up seem to follow that lead,
Yes.
So it only
Absolutely.
takes one person in the family to break that ceiling, and
Hmm.
then others will follow for generations.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I
Hmm.
live in San Marcos. I'm very
Okay.
familiar with that program there. Rebecca Jones is a good friend of mine there, and of
Okay.
course, I think one of my board members. She's the director of uh, large giving for the college there. So
Okay.
I was approached not too long ago to uh, teach a couple of classes out there, but I'm pretty busy doing some other stuff here. But so what so enough about me. This is the Tony Jackson show. So what's in it for you for the future? What's going on?
Well, I'm still, although I termed out at Cal State San Marcos as the chairman of their foundation board, I'm
Yeah.
now the chair of their Cougar Athletic Council, yeah,
Oh my gosh.
which is a new, and it's kind of I'm going to work with the Rand Corporation, another kind of volunteer as an advisor to a group of people at the Rand Corporation who are trying to. They're putting together a study and resources sponsored by, I don't know if you know Dan Epstein,
Yes, I
but
know.
he's quite a philanthropist.
Mhm.
Um, but he's funded a group to study veterans and how they are either achieving or not, and get to some of the root problems of homeless veterans and other
Right.
difficulties that they may be having. So I've stepped up for that. We'll meet for the first time in March.
Wow.
And I still get out and do my hunting and fishing and camping. And I
Sure.
got a backyard garden out here
Uh-oh.
that if you would have had that on video when I first started that up, you would have the best comedy show in America. but
I'm sure you whipped it into shape.
but and I'm enjoying. I've had two. my first two grandchildren born over the course of the last year and a half. So I'm kind
Nice.
of really enjoying the grandfather role, even though
Yeah.
I try to stay, let them come and watch them go.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying watching the little ones and watching the success of my two sons and their wonderful brides.
Isn't it
And
amazing what grandchildren do to you? It's like
yeah,
an elixir of some sort. They come in the room and they can do no wrong.
yeah, it's probably the. I said, man, having grandchildren, all of a sudden I feel old.
But you're not.
Yeah,
It's just a number. It's
yeah,
just a number. Well,
but
that
yeah,
sounds great.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
excellent.
So I've got no complaints. I'm, you know, enjoying living here in Fallbrook in
Hmm.
Southern California. I sometimes get a little bit antsy in terms of, it used to be as a Marine, if you saw something going on in the world, you stood ready to be prepared to make it right or
Right,
to be engaged.
right.
And fortunately, in my career, I was engaged in many different operations and things uh, that always kept the juices flowing.
Yeah,
And now, in watching the news or something like that, I realize that I'm just Joe Citizen, and all I can do is go to the polls and vote and things like that. Because every time I threaten to run for a political office, my wife says,
right. Rightfully so. He really is a lot smarter than all of us. Uh,
"Yeah,
don't do it. What
yeah,
I don't care
that's
what
what
they
you."
promise. Don't go there.
Well, yeah, the problem is you have to pick friends then,
Yeah,
I mean, you
right.
know what I mean? You have to pick
Yeah,
friends and enemies. And I'm just
yeah,
not, I just don't want to go there. And it's too bad that that's the way it is, but it seems
yeah.
like
Mhm.
that's,
It's the toughest game there is, and
yeah, yeah.
it's brutal. And you earned all your stripes, sir. And I say that with the most respect. And by the way, you're not just some ordinary citizen. You in fact have made an impact in the world that is significant. It's probably not going to be written on some wall somewhere, but
Yeah,
we all know. People know
yeah.
they can look up Tony Jackson and they go, that he's actually something to think
Mhm.
about. Maybe I can, follow in his path. And I hope those young people that are listening to this show and they look at you and how you've accomplished what you have in a pretty short time frame. I mean, you're not that old.
Yeah,
And they think maybe I should go become a
yeah,
Marine. I think it's a very honorable trade for sure.
yeah.
And I want to thank my sponsors here today at San Diego Harbor Police Foundation. They let me do this podcast, which every day we bring more and more listeners on. I try to bring people on this show, like yourself, Tony, who not just talk the game, but they actually put boots on the ground and get the job done. And there are a lot of talkers out there, and certainly there are very, very generous philanthropists out there that provide funding for nonprofits like your foundation and the campus and mine, but there aren't that many that actually get the job done effectively. And so you're one of those people, and I'm just really thankful to have you here today. And I hope that people that are listening will promote this show, promote this podcast with Tony Jackson, so that the word gets out that people like Tony, they're out there and they're still alive. You're still vertical, and it's great. So thank you, Tony, so much.
Well, Jeff, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. And to your audience, yeah, I sometimes say that, yeah, give a little and then give a little more. And
Yeah.
the reward for that is you just can't measure it,
Yeah,
So,
you're right.
yeah, so I appreciate being on your show. Thank you for
Thanks so
having me.
much. I'll see you on the trail.
All right, for sure.
Take
All right,
care.
you too. Bye.
Thank you.